Thank you all so much for being here today as we celebrate federal climate investments from the Inflation Reduction Act and bipartisan infrastructure law that are making a difference in the city. I am Kimberly Wills. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships for the Climate Action Campaign, which is a coalition of organizations working for strong federal action on climate. I am joined by an excellent lineup of speakers today: Mayor Reynolds, EPA Regional Administrator Adam Ortiz, Mark Stein, Chief of Facilities and Operations for Bethlehem School District, and Beth Samishka, Director of Environmental Health Programs for the Bethlehem Health Bureau. I'd also like to say thank you to the Bethlehem Area School District Superintendent Jack Silva for his leadership and for hosting us today. First, I'll turn it over to Mayor Reynolds. Thanks so much.
Thank you. It is wonderful to be here today on such a beautiful day. And another partnership between the City of Bethlehem and the Bethlehem Area School District. And, you know, we've talked for a long time about how special our community is, all of the wonderful things we can do, but we need resources. We need help from our state and federal partners, and we need our elected officials to do their job. We are here today with a little bit more sustainable Bethlehem, a little bit cleaner, a little bit healthier, sitting right behind us here. And it is really a symbol of what we are always looking for. And that's that spirit of cooperation and collaboration. 7 years ago, I had introduced the idea of launching a climate action plan here in the city of Bethlehem because we didn't have that collaboration with our state and federal partners. You didn't see much coming as far as climate action is concerned. Now, 7 years later, we see that. And the infrastructure investments, the climate bill that have come down from Washington are truly transformational. You can't change culture in a day. It takes a while. It's bit by bit by bit, but slowly we're becoming a more sustainable and a healthier community here in the city of Bethlehem and within the Bethlehem Area School District. And I just want to, while we're here outside a spring garden where, I have my nephews right inside one of those classrooms, I'm sure being well behaved. Bethlehem goes, as the old saying goes, as the Bethlehem Area School District goes. And we have the best public school district around that represents everything that is right about public education and diversity in America. And we welcome that and we celebrate that. But one of the things that's special about the Bethlehem Area School District, too, is the amount of sophistication that is inside those buildings and those offices. Getting grants, being able to buy electric buses, being able to save 3% on energy there, being able to upgrade your HVAC systems, do all those things that lead to healthier lives for our children, they're not easy. It takes a lot of work. There's a long checklist to get from point A to point Z to make a project happen. As I always say, everybody has a plan until you ask them what it is. But if you ask the Bethlehem Area School District, they know what their plan is and they know how to execute it. And Bethlehem would not be going through the revitalization that we are, where everybody wants to live here. Everybody wants to send their kids to liberty and freedom. I mean, what a great week for the school district here. A couple days away from, one of the best days in our city. On Saturday when we have the Liberty Freedom Game, and Sunday we have the Halloween parade. But this is what it's all about. The idea that we celebrate successes together, we work together. And our climate action plan could have just sat over here as the type of thing that we talked about in City Hall and with some of our partners. But the Bethlehem Area School District has been a leader for that. And it'd be really easy for them to say that's somebody else's responsibility. But I want to thank Dr. Silva. I want to thank Ms. Leeson. I want to thank everybody, Mark Stein, everybody within the administration that has made this idea of sustainability a priority. And with that being said, I would just wrap by saying people often want to give the city credit for things, but it is a long line of people that help to make these things happen. And we have 3 of them right next to us here that we're going to hear from, and they deserve a lot of the credit for being able to get this from just an idea to really being a symbol of what we can do when we have those resources to invest in our community. With that being said, I think I'm going to turn it over to Adam here for a few comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Good job. Round of applause for the mayor. A great speech, no notes, but behind all those words is a lot of thoughtfulness and a lot of planning. So thank you for your leadership as mayor, but also your time on the council and as a community leader. It makes a big difference. And, we make a big difference when we work together. And that's what's really distinctive about what we're celebrating here today. As we all know, this is a very divided time in our country, but that's not the full story. There's also a lot of collaboration and cooperation happening below the headlines. And yet today we are here showing up to support incredible work and incredible alignment here in the school district and in the city. I want to thank the superintendent for your leadership. I want to thank the facilities folks who I had a chance to chat with on the way in, and everybody here in the school district and locally who made this happen. And sometimes we show up to events, and we've done hundreds and hundreds of events in the 3 years that I've been in this position. And we show up, here to a school, and folks are like, "Oh, why is the EPA here? Are we in trouble?" But the truth is that no, it's the opposite. You're doing something fantastic, and we're here to support you. And what's distinctive about what's been happening in the last 3 years, with the thanks to the support of Congress, Congresswoman Wild, her team is here, and other members, and in the Biden-Harris administration, is that we know that to really make a difference in sustainability and in the health of our children and our communities, we have to do more than just enforcement and compliance. EPA was founded in 1970, basically to crack down on really bad stuff, like rivers catching on fire. We couldn't see the skylines to our cities because the air pollution was so bad. Our country was so dirty and so unhealthy. And in the 50 plus years since then, we've done a lot to clean it up. But we know that we can't do everything just with enforcement and compliance. And our role as an agency under the Biden-Harris administration is to help be a partner and a funder to local places that are doing great things but need a little help to close the gap. When I was talking to the superintendent earlier, he remarked about the solar panels here, and that these solar panels are the oldest array in the school district. Is that correct? Okay, we're going to go with that. But they've been around for a while, which shows that this is a community that has constantly has ideas in the school district that's activated. So our job is to help show up and close the gap. Clean school buses are an incredible way to do that. So the announcement today is for $2 million to go to electric school buses. And that's a big deal for a few different reasons. We're all familiar with how important it is to transition to cleaner sources of energy and cleaner sources of transportation. We do that. But this is also about the everyday health of our children and our school bus drivers and the folks who are on campuses like these. So if we think back, those of us who rode a school bus, remember, when school would get out, we'd stand and line up and then get on the buses at the queue. And that can be 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 buses, diesel buses emitting harmful pollutants, out of that tailpipe. And we also know that that childhood asthma and respiratory diseases continue to rise across the country. And in some places, we go to school districts and we ask kids in the classes, raise your hand if you have asthma. And in the city of Philadelphia, where we were last week with Kimberly, in some classes, more than 80% of the hands went up. So that's an acute stressor that's coming, right from the vehicle that's supposed to transport kids to school every day. So we make that queue cleaner. We make the neighborhoods cleaner as these buses drive through them. And then importantly, often forgotten, but also a super tough job in the schools, is being a bus driver. And in speaking to the bus drivers, and we've spoken to many, they talk in glowing terms, how pleasant it is to ride an electric school bus. There's not the fumes coming into the bus when they open the door to let the kids in and out. There's not the stress from the noise of the engine all day. They're already dealing with a lot of noise behind them with all the kids, as we know. But it's a much more a thoughtful, humane, and healthier work environment for the bus drivers that have a tough job and drive hundreds and hundreds of miles every single week. So that makes a big difference. And 1 in 4 kids in the Lehigh Valley have respiratory issues, including asthma. So this will make a difference, and it's an example to other places. So we're pleased to be back here in the Lehigh Valley. We're pleased to be back with Bethlehem and see the mayor again. And we're truly invested in this area because, like I said earlier, there's a lot of local communities that are activated, that are closing the gaps, but need a little bit of help. And that's what EPA and the Biden-Harris administration is about. It's not our money at EPA, it's the community's money. It comes from the taxpayers, and we're investing in places that make a difference. So recently we awarded $500,000 to brownfield remediation in Easton. And brownfields, for folks who don't know, are older properties that have contamination of some kind, old warehouses or manufacturing that have bad stuff in the ground. And a lot of those places are right in the middle of our older cities, because they were close to population centers and transportation, but they're a blight. But with brownfields funding, we can turn those around and make them ready for reinvestment to attract people back to our older cities like the mayor is doing. We recently awarded more than $10 million through Penvest, that's a state investment agency, for lead service line replacement. As we know, lead is a harmful toxin that gets in the bloodstream of too many of our kids and affects their development. So $12 million to remove lead pipes in Allentown. And we were also pleased to have a big announcement some time ago to the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, incredible leadership there on their climate pollution reduction efforts. And as the mayor mentioned, you can't have great programs without a great plan. And there's great planning here, and we're happy to support it. So in closing, I want to thank all folks on the facilities team, and I'm excited to bring Mark up next, the school district's leadership, and you, Mayor Reynolds, and everybody else who's involved in different ways. When we work together, great things happen, and great things are happening here in the Bethlehem School District. So thank you on behalf of EPA and the Biden-Harris administration. Thank you. Thanks, man.
So, thank you, Adam. You do 300 of these. This is our second one, so bear with me as we get through this. No, thank you everyone for coming out. My name is Mark Stein. I'm the Chief Facilities and Operations Officer here at Bethlehem Area School District. We are, I'm the evil landlord for the district. I also worry about all those buildings and buses out there. So this is exciting for us to be growing our electric fleet here in Bethlehem. So I just want to touch on two ideas, sustainability and that impact. So sustainability really is a leadership issue, and the mayor alluded to that. You don't have to do it, but it makes a lot of sense, but it takes someone to actually do it when you have to. So it doesn't happen automatically. You need people to make it a priority and to take action. So here in Bethlehem, we take our sustainability pretty seriously. So alluding back to our solar panels out here, starting in 2011, 2010, I think we started, we added 5 solar arrays, totaling 1.6 megawatts of energy that support our schools. Represents about 10% of our total electric use in the district. But we saw it as an opportunity to make a difference with some clean energy in our schools. Fun fact here, over to my left, your right, solar array, here's our smallest one, but has the most unique, I think, solution in that you notice that a large chunk of the solar panels are actually in a retention basin. So we worked with the city early on at that point in the planning to say, look, we want to bring solar here, but we don't want to give away all of our green space behind the school. So working there with the city, we were able to come up with a solution that put a lot of those solar panels in otherwise unusable space on the property, which we thought was really a great way to inject and leverage that sustainable operation. So since 2011, we've been very aggressively and proactively managing our energy consumption. So we've dropped our energy consumption 20% in that time. And I can tell you, even today, we have a lot more to go, a lot more improvement to be had still. That reduction not only shrinks our environmental footprint, but it also comes back to our community in terms of saved dollars. And for us, that's we're at over $20 million now in savings that have gone back to our district's bottom line and to our programs and initiatives right here in our school district. So that's bringing us back then to today, and while we're here to talk about our growing fleet of electric buses. So behind me, you see our first electric vehicle in the Lehigh Valley here. I think one of the first in the state, as the electric fleets are growing here with the federal injection of funds, thanks to the Clean School Bus Grant or rebate we're receiving here for $2 million. That will translate into 10 additional electric vehicles on the streets of Bethlehem. So have 2, that's great. We're breaking them in right now, learning all about it. The technology is new. We're easing into it, and we're looking forward to leveraging that into 10 more driving around town here. Looking forward to seeing more across our state and then even beyond across the nation. So what does that impact? What does that mean for us here at Bethlehem? There are many positive impacts of putting zero-emission vehicles out on the road. Adam touched on a couple. I was proud to hear him mention the impact on the bus driver, right? We're thinking about the kids. We're a school district. Obviously, that's our primary purpose. But our drivers are in that vehicle for 6-7 hours a day, driving those kids, dropping them off around town. So the impact on the zero emission now for the driver who's in the vehicle all day, in addition to the kids who are benefiting from that as well. They're quieter, right? We've heard anecdotally, we're trying to prove it out here in our own data, that generally the kids behave better, right? It's not as loud. You need to talk to your friend next to you. You have to really raise your voice to communicate. You don't have that problem, so we can kind of chill on the bus as much as you can do that with 12-year-olds. But going to take the impact beyond those kind of obvious impacts back to an area of growing importance for our district and an area of growing focus, and that's chronic absenteeism. So Lehigh Valley is known for its pockets of less than desirable air quality here in our nice big bowl in Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton. Levels of fine particulate matter, PM 2.5, we track that. There's websites, there's dashboards out there. You can see it where it affects our kids in our community. That's exacerbated by our diesel exhaust, driving around our 1.3 million miles a year that we travel around the Bethlehem community. So the concern for our district is that with those high levels of contaminants, that leads to breathing issues, asthma, as Adam mentioned earlier. According to the CDC, asthma is a leading chronic illness among children and is one of the leading causes of chronic absenteeism in schools. So research shows that students who miss 2 days a month over the course of the year translates into chronic absenteeism. 2 days a month, that's not that much if you think about it. Add that up, that's 20 days a year, 18 days a year. So we want to obviously make sure our kids are in school. If they're not in school, they're not going to learn the great stuff we're here to teach them. So that poor air quality and absenteeism are both problems that strike at our core mission. So when thinking about the electric vehicle, electric school bus, and our children, excuse me, this clean school bus rebate doesn't just put 10 electric vehicles on the road. It takes 10 diesel engines off the road. And with our 2 already, so there are now 12 diesel engines off the road, and that's going to save us about 150,000 miles travel. You might ask, what is 150,000 miles? It's kind of hard to internalize that. I like to use the Disney World tour. So that represents the emissions taken off the road of a school bus driving from Bethlehem to Disneyland, Southern California, to Disney World in Orlando, and back to Bethlehem 24 times. So while the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step, our early steps here are to take a lot of miles, a lot of emissions off the road here starting next school year. So as we continue to focus on sustainability in our district and combat chronic absenteeism and student health, every little bit helps. So we are extremely grateful for the EPA's $2 million electric clean school bus rebate, and we look forward to many impacts, including the student and employee health as we grow our fleet of electric buses and move into the 21st century. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn things over here to Beth now from the Bethlehem Health Bureau.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you. That was really interesting what you all had to say. I love the Disney World. What did you call it? The Disney World example. That is a lot of miles. This is really exciting for our children of the city of Bethlehem. And it's funny, they probably don't even know how lucky they are, right? But one day they'll know. I have fond memories of riding the school bus. I'm sure a lot of you do too. I even remember Mr. Dave, wonderful school bus driver. And, I appreciate what Adam and Mark said too about protecting them as well. Because Mr. Dave, I'm telling you, was a wonderful bus driver, and we should be protecting them as well. I also have a very distinct memory of the diesel smell. Whenever I smell that, wherever I happen to be at a gas station, it takes me back to my school, my grade school days, right? That distinct smell. Sometimes you would even get off the bus feeling like you smelled like it. And of course, that's where the problem lies, right? So way back in 2001, the National Resources Defense Council actually conducted a study to measure the level of diesel exhaust to which children riding in a school bus are typically exposed to. Of course, it found kids in the back of the bus were exposed more than kids in the front of the bus, but up to 4 times the level of diesel exhaust they were breathing in compared to someone in a car ahead of them. And as we all know, children are our most vulnerable populations because their little lungs are still developing, and they can also breathe up to 50% more air per body weight than adults. I think Adam, you mentioned too the idling of the school buses. That's a distinct memory I have coming out of elementary school. All of them lined up, and you're waiting there for yours to come pick you up. That noise and the diesel exhaust, the black fumes, that is a major concern as well. And what makes diesel fuel exhaust components most dangerous is that they form very small particles. So 0.1 to 0.5 micrometers in diameter, tiny. And it's actually these smallest particles that are actually the biggest concern to our health. The fine particles easily reach the deepest portions of our lungs where they just get trapped. Our body's immune systems cannot destroy those tiny particles. So that causes a chain reaction of inflammation, right? Inflammation occurs in our lungs, which causes more immune cells to come flooding in, and that contributes to the worsening respiratory symptoms and disease. The basic health concerns, right, of breathing these fine particulate matter include the aggravated coughing, the constricted airway, so difficulty breathing, shortness of breath, mucus production, chronic bronchitis, and of course, chronic and aggravated asthma, which we all know is a major concern in the Lehigh Valley, and of course nationwide. But in the Lehigh Valley, as Mark mentioned, the topography of our valley here, we're sitting in the valley in the bowl where the particulate matter and the air pollution just sits. Okay, so these physiological parameters make children very susceptible to illness, the common cold, flu, COVID, RSV, all those things because of the inflammation. And then, of course, the chronic conditions. And of course, when kids are having their aggravated symptoms of their asthma, they have cold symptoms, whatever the case may be, we also know that their moods can take an impact, right? Their moods are negatively impacted, and it's hard for them to concentrate in school. And to perform at their best. So this is really exciting that this is a huge step forward in progression of helping our children's become healthier. And I gotta say, with the school bus drivers, I am very lucky. We at the health department actually replaced my old 1992 junker with a clean electric Chevy Bolt, and it's a lot of fun to drive. So I think the school bus drivers are gonna, appreciate the positive impact to their health, but also I think they're gonna have fun driving them. So just in summary, again, the clean buses mean our safer and healthier kids. With the electric school bus transportation, kids aren't gonna be exposed to those toxic tailpipe emissions created by the old dinosaur diesel-powered school buses. It's gonna improve their preparedness to do their best at school and protect the air that we all breathe. So with that, I'd just like to turn it back over to Mayor Reynolds. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. I think there's a spot for you in a science classroom in the Bethlehem Area School District in the future. I want to finish by just making a point, because I think Adam, Beth, and Mark all talked about the idea of a step. And I think we all know that one of the biggest challenges we have right now in America is the idea that people don't believe the government can do things, or that things can't get done. And one of the things that days like this do is it helps to build that trust and build that confidence. And I know I see Megan Best from Susan Wild's office here. And, one of the things that Congresswoman Wild and Senator Casey have done when they put up these votes is they've given us the opportunity to keep our promises. And we all know that there's a trust deficit right now with people in the government at all levels. And oftentimes it's not because you don't have great people working at your local level or at your state level. It's because they don't have the tools. And when Congresswoman Wild and Senator Casey put up the vote to make this funding happen, it allowed us not just the opportunity to do all of those wonderful things that we just talked about. It also allows us bit by bit to build back up that idea that the government can do good things and it can complete projects. And we have a saying too in City Hall is like, if you want to do something big in 2 years, you need to find something to do on Saturday. And the reason why is because you can't just make people wait around for the big thing to happen 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. They need to have an understanding that we are taking steps. And I just want to thank Congresswoman Wild, thank Senator Casey, thank the Biden-Harris administration, because what they did over the past several years was started to invest in the public sector in a way that we haven't seen probably since the 30s or the 40s for ages. And if you've heard me talk about at different events, we're doing parks plans, we're doing transportation plans, we're investing in all these different things because for the first time in decades and generations, we have the resources to be able to do that. Those shared spaces, that idea of a community, the places that people come together, that we define ourselves together in, those are public spaces, public schools, public parks, and we have the resources to be able to do that. But more than that, and this is the thing that I say thank you the most to Congresswoman Wild, Senator Casey, and President Biden, is the idea that they allow us to keep our promises. Because when we knock on doors and ask for these jobs, we're just asking people for the shot to be able to do the thing that makes Bethlehem a little bit better. And today is a celebration of that because of all of our great friends with the school district. And we're here to celebrate what is another small step as far as purchasing a few more electric vehicles. But as we heard, it's part of a much bigger mission that we're on. And, I'm here to tell you, as I see the press like every week as we talk about these successes, is, the progress that we're making here in Bethlehem is truly remarkable. So thank you. And with that, I think we'll take any questions that may exist.
So once you guys get the rebates, how long will it be from this time until you actually purchase the buses or start purchasing them?
Well, actually, this evening at our school board meeting, we'll be approving an agreement with a company to purchase those vehicles. We are expecting at this point to have those in service next school year. So best case would be August, maybe a couple months in, but that's the goal. So 10 to 12 months from now, we'll be rolling those 10 vehicles in Bethlehem.
Also, you said you're going to be removing then the 10 diesel buses. What are your plans for the old ones?
As part of one of the conditions of the rebate is that we need to destroy those. So we have to punch the blocks and make them disappear for good.
Okay, so that won't be sold to anyone else?
Correct. Nope.
Excellent. Did you guys have to, obviously since these are, they're literally plug-in ones, I saw that. Did you guys have to do anything in additional to make this happen, infrastructure-wise?
So with the first two vehicles, we worked closely with PPL over the last several years to bring in additional service to our transportation yard to support those two vehicles. And as part of this next phase, the company we're working with will be bringing in an additional 8 chargers. We have 4 now, so we're able to leverage 2 of those for the 10 new. So we're going to factor in 8 more chargers. There is definitely infrastructure involved as part of that, but that will happen over the next 10 to 12 months.
Wondering how large the fleet is overall, and if these buses will be serving several different schools within the district.
Sure, no, great question. So our total fleet, I'd like to say 120 vehicles. So we'll have 12, so that's 10%, and we serve all of our schools, not just the 22 schools in Bethlehem, but an additional 53 schools within a 10-mile radius of the school district. So there are plenty of opportunities to get around. We do serve every time a bus goes on the road. They usually do 3 tiers of service. They'll drop off the high school kids, and they'll run out and grab middle school kids, drop them off, run out and grab elementary kids, and bring those in. And we'll do it in reverse in the afternoon.
Last time we talked about you had 2% of the buses, so we're really making
That's
a lot
right.
of
Look at that.
progress
We've done a 500% increase in the last 6 months, right?